now
on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
We're down to 6 candidates now, and 5 of them showed up for the debate, except for the one who's actually the dominant front-runner and will probably win the nomination. But it was still an impressive display yesterday. It was very much Nikki versus Ron, and Nikki versus Vivek, and Ron versus Vivek, and everybody. Well, Vivek versus everybody.
Yes.
Vivek took on everyone. Including, as you'll hear in cut 1, it was really an extraordinary opening statement from him. The question for Vivek, if you'll all remember, the question for each of the candidates was, how do you, basically, why are you here? Well, what's the point? How do you win this
Give us
primary?
your opener,
The opening question, how do you win this primary when you're going up against Donald Trump, who is the clear front runner and won't even participate in these debates, which I think actually was kind of an odd question for Lester Holt because, okay, then Lester, why are you doing the debate? But
if there's not some value to this discussion.
The primary question, if I can use that as a pun, for every single Republican voter is, convince me why I shouldn't vote for Donald Trump. That's every single one of these candidates needs to make that case. Because all of them, to a certain degree, even Chris Christie, supported Donald Trump and his policies at some point, but now they're trying to say that, yeah, I supported Donald Trump then, but now you've got to vote for me instead of Donald Trump. That's a weird one, right? And you have to make that case. Sure, he was fine then, but now the vote should come here. Vivek Ramaswamy turned that question around, and take a listen to what he did.
Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party.
Well, he went even further on the media and said, why should you be holding us accountable for our political positions when you've never been held accountable for peddling the Russian collusion lie?
Kristen
here
Balker,
on NBC.
Yeah, exactly. He eviscerated Ronna McDaniel. He literally, that was a drop the mic moment when he said, come on up stage and resign.
Yeah.
And man, I think it was interesting that he pivoted away from the real question, which is why you and not Trump, and he went to, no, why are we losers? And I think that actually is a question that a lot of Republican voters are thinking right now. Why do we keep losing? There is a common denominator.
Well, interesting, because as he was going through those years of losses, I want to say something. He's right. Since Ronna McDaniel's been chairman, we've lost in 2018, 2020, 2022, and now 2023, not counting Glenn Youngkin's win in 2021. Could also take that exact same data point and say, since Donald Trump was elected the leader of the party and president of the United States, we've lost in 2018. Now, I'm not saying that is causation, but in the same way, that means maybe it's not Ronna McDaniel either. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying that you fall into a trap when you start making that argument.
Door. Yeah.
And ironically, the one prominent Republican who continued to win consistently each of those years dated was Kevin McCarthy as leader of the House Republicans. All right. Well, I caught up to Ronna McDaniel in the spin room afterwards, as you can imagine. And by the way, you should all understand the dynamic here. When Vivek did that, Ronna McDaniel was sitting in the front. This is her show.
Literally right in front of her.
Oh, yeah. Right in front of him. In the front row, maybe 15 feet away. And before the cameras were turned on, in the auditorium, it was Ronna McDaniel who was the first person on the stage to stand and welcome everybody. This was her show, in a way, because this is an RNC presentation. And and she's the chairwoman of the RNC, which, by the way, also kind of supports Vivek's argument, which is if this is our show, why are we handing it off to NBC? Right? All right. So I caught up to Ronna McDaniel in the spin room. I asked her about that, but then I also asked her about Virginia. And I want you to listen to what she had to say, and then we'll discuss it. Take a listen.
How are you? So that was rough to hear from Vivek, wasn't it?
Listen, I'm going to focus on Joe Biden. I've said this to you on your show, though, before. This Republican on Republican vitriol and infighting is not good for our party. I'm not running for president. I'm here trying to win for our party. He just lost a vote. He lost my son's vote. I'll tell you that much. But I will say this. The voters don't want to see this. They want to see us talk about the border. They want to see us talk about Israel. They want to see us talk about how we can win. And when you do that, you're not talking about Joe Biden and the Democrats.
What's your analysis of the results in Virginia, though? You know, we on our radio station, we were...
The RNC's not a state committee. We're a federal committee, right? Your candidates can take unlimited state dollars and your governor can take unlimited state dollars. And he actually said, we don't need you guys here. So I will say this about Virginia. Your governor did a great job. He got in. He's pushing the bank the vote. But if you were there watching the ads like I was, every Democrat ad was about abortion. Every Republican ad was about crime. And we're cross-talking. And if Republicans can't get up and say they are lying to you about my position on abortion on TV, then the lie becomes the truth. And that's what I will say. And I did not see that in Virginia.
But go ahead. No, that's fine.
Jumped in and asked a question. So hold on.
Let people lie about you and let it go unanswered. Let it go unanswered. If somebody's spending $30 million against you and they're lying about you and say you won't give life-saving care for miscarriages or an ectopic pregnancy, you better get on TV and tell them that the voters that that's a lie, or they think that's the truth. And our candidates have got to do this. You can walk and chew gum at the same time. You can go and say, this is where I stand. The Democrats are lying. And now let's talk about crime, schools, border, fentanyl, and national security.
I just want to clarify one quick thing, though. The RNC had no involvement in these elections in Virginia per Governor Youngkin's request?
We were told in the summer they didn't need us, that they had all the money and they were good. So that was the conversation.
Thanks for your time.
All right. Couple of things there that I think are eye-opening and eyebrow-raising, and we will flesh it out a little bit in just a moment. Because honestly, I got to tell you, coming out of last night's debate, one of the biggest storylines was Vivek Ramaswamy and Ronna McDaniel. That's why we're kind of leading with this story, especially since I was able to get that fascinating response from her last night, especially how it relates to us here in these elections. So we'll get into it in a moment. It's 5:15.